Good afternoon. It's good to see everybody. I'm so delighted to be joined by the two men who have probably had the biggest role in shaping what's happening here in Miami. A lot of people love this city and they love to come to experience it. And when you come to experience a city like Miami, you want really good hospitality. And we are here joined by two of the greatest who not only built it here, but globally around the world. I'm joined here on stage by David Grutman, founder of Groot Hospitality, and Jeff Zalaznick. I've been practicing all morning, from co-owner of Major Food Group. I think there's no question that Miami has made a tremendous transformation, an urban development that has been driven by so many things, not just infrastructure, technology, real estate. Miami is where it's at right now. And we've seen so many people and businesses and companies relocate here for a reason. The population has boomed to 20% over the last 5 years. So I wanted to sit down with two of the greatest here in Miami to talk about what's happening in this city and what they're seeing, not just in the food sector and beyond, but why Miami and why now? David. Or Jeff. Jeff's ready to go.
I think, to your point, what's happened in Miami since, I've been here the last 4 or 5 years is you've seen a place that was, poised for growth as a city. It had all the elements that were needed, in terms of infrastructure, in terms of being a great, beautiful place on the water with great taxes and all the things that people talk about in big, broad strokes. But the most important thing that's allowed this city to really be transformational and be a model for the what a new city and how it can reinvent itself and grow is, the people and the welcomeness of people here and the way that they welcome someone like myself coming down from New York and bringing down, within 3 years, 15 new restaurants and 2,000 new jobs and things along those lines that you can't do. You could never do that in a place where the people themselves are not welcoming, and also, most importantly, the government itself is not welcoming and not willing to help you. And I think that one of the biggest factors in terms of creating that is that Miami is a city that welcomes you both, from your neighbor to the government itself, and to help you get your businesses off the ground. And they also realize the importance of hospitality. They realize that without hospitality, you can't attract the big tech companies, the big finance companies, the big investment firms. You can't bring those people in because they need places to eat, they need places to sleep, and when they're making those decisions, they actually come into their minds. I mean, I remember a headline that kind of summed it up when, Miami really, when the explosion really started happening, and it said, mayor lures tech billionaires to Miami with promises of lower taxes and reservations at Carbone. And that's when I realized not only did this city get it so right, that how significant the things that we do and that role that we play are in growing and creating the community that allows a society to go to the next level. So that's kind of how I've seen it from my perspective, and nothing would be possible without that welcoming spirit of people and government that exists here.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that you could get the mayor on the phone in
Yeah,
the city or in the Miami Beach and the county mayor quickly, fast, and that they react. They want you to succeed. They want you to do great. And I think by being able to service people the way they're being serviced in New York or LA or any of these other major cities, but on another level, and have all the lifestyle that comes into play in Miami, it's an amazing thing.
Yeah.
How has your business changed?
Well, I mean, I think, with all the competition coming down, it raises the bar so high. Everyone's like, oh, you have this guy and that guy, and everybody's coming. I love it because it makes my guys work and push harder and better. It's been great to see, and it brings more people to the area. Jeff used to joke with me. I always put a restaurant next to one of yours, and then I opened a diner that failed, and he was about to open a Sadel's next to me. He goes, I pulled out of that deal what I saw. And it's great to have, being able to have people that you could call and say, "Hey, man, did you see this? What do you think about that in this environment?" And it's a cutthroat environment. Let's not fool ourselves, right? We're all going after that same reservation, that same bottle table, the same guest. But to be able to call each other and say, "Hey, what do you think about that? This and that?" It's great.
And you have restaurants around the world. What's the difference between Miami and some of the places that you operate?
Minimum guarantees. No, I'm just joking.
It's not. That's true.
Not gonna lie.
We're not gonna lie. No, I mean, I think for us, it's Miami is truly one of our hubs. We're based out of New York and Miami, and the restaurants that we own and operate here and in New York, we are obviously in and at every day, and we're also innovating here. So innovation, our main focus as a company is always food first. And that's how we've built our company, and we focus always on the food being the best and everything else, the storytelling, the fun, the experience, make it, that all follows, but it all starts with excellence in food and beverage. And I think that the difference here is that there's constant innovation that's then being shipped globally. So if you're in Miami and you're in a restaurant in New York, you're experiencing that more as a customer. But at the same time, we take incredible pride in our global properties, whether it be in Saudi, whether it be in, we're in Doha, we're opening very shortly in Dubai. We've been in Hong Kong for a decade. We just celebrated 10 years in Hong Kong. So, we've had great experiences there, often where we work with partners, and, we have a whole team of people that spend their time going location to location, making sure that when you eat in Hong Kong for lunch and you eat at New York for dinner, it tastes the same. And I think that, so the experience it's been a great one. It's one that we're very focused on continuing to expand. I mean, right now we're looking very heavily at more expansion in the Middle East. We're about to open 2 very exciting projects in London. And so we couldn't be more excited about our global footprint, because we've primarily over half our restaurants, are in, between New York, Miami, Las Vegas, and Dallas. So we have a long way to grow.
Dave, what would be your advice to Saudi, as now it's on the cusp of obviously growing tremendously right now? What lessons can Saudi learn from what Miami has built and what Miami is currently doing as they are going through their boom right now?
I mean, I think the thing about for Saudi to realize is they are a platform now to build their own brands, and I think to build other brands on the back of that. Like Miami was never that city that you could build a brand in and then transport it somewhere else, and now the opposite is. Now we build brands in Miami, and those now travel outside of our city. I think Saudi, with all its, from Alula to Sandala to, that's crazy, to all of these markets now, you have that ability to build your own brands.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that. I think that's exactly what I would talk about in terms of innovation. You have everything there. You have people like us that are, very much, bought into the ideas and to the future and to the vision of 2030 and all the different things that are trying to be achieved. And, Dave and I actually both have restaurants in Sindala.
None of our brands, by the way,
which are new brands. They're not.
Yeah,
they
didn't want our brands that we have everywhere else. They wanted us to create new brands in Sindala.
And so hopefully those
in
new
27,
brands.
Yeah.
When we just celebrated a great opening there.
Wow.
Together, and I think that's the beginning of that idea that we both believe in, which is that Saudi has the ability, with the right people and the right talent and the right infrastructure behind it, to create brands like we did in Sindala, and then bring those brands to other places. And so that will make it more of a New York or Miami.
So I'm a communications executive. I help tell stories, build brands, build reputations. That's my job, is to scale and tell people stories. What's the story of Saudi that you think people haven't heard yet?
I think people are still, listen, you see with this conference, having been here since the first one, having been going to the one in Saudi for over 7 or 8, you see the way that this has built and grown and scaled. And I think that what you see is that the exponential growth of people's awareness of what's going on in Saudi is very similar to the exponential growth you can compare to Miami in a different way, right? It's exponential, right? Every year, this year we have the president speaking here. Okay, the president of the United States is now speaking at FII, and it can no longer fit at my restaurant to have the party, which is very depressing to me. Tomorrow night. But
By the way, it's not at my restaurant either.
I know.
And it's the first thing I said. I'm like,
more room. I said it had to be any place but yours.
Friendly competition is in play
No,
here.
but
It's not true.
And when I said, they asked me,
Yeah.
"Are you going to?" I go, "Is the after party at Carbone again?" And they said, "No, it's at Queen." I go, "Queen."
Yeah. What about us?
Wait,
It got too big for my venue but you could even see that last year, the first year was 200 people. Last year at Carbone it was 400 people. This year it's going to probably be 600 people. And so I think what people don't know is actually they're learning. What we're watching is that we're watching lots of people learn at an exponential pace how exciting a market Saudi is, how great Saudi people are, how great Saudi people are to deal with, and it's a great pleasure to watch it because I've been watching it for 7 years trying to explain it to people, and I know Dave has as well.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't even bother trying to explain it. I'm like, just go. If you just go, then you'll realize it's insane.
Yeah, when I first told my company, I'll just go back. When I first told my company, we were early on that we were going to open 3 restaurants in Saudi. I had a couple of people come to me and be like, are you crazy? And I said, we're getting on a plane today. We're going back. Right, I just come back. We're going to go spend 3 days there, and you tell me what you think. And all 3 of them, all 3 executives were like, you're 100% right. We were totally wrong about what we thought about this place, and we see the opportunity, and we are so excited. The people are so great, and whatever our conception of what was going on there is wrong, because you have to go and see it yourself and meet the people and spend the time, or you can't understand it, and that's what's now happening at an exponential pace.
And fast, fast. Right now that they have these resources of Alula, the Red Sea, it's going fast and fast and fast. And we know that our lives all live on, our brands all live on social. So now when you see on socials how beautiful Alula is, how beautiful Sandala is, and the Red Sea and blah, 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 it's going to go so fast. I'm just happy that we were there earlier.
Yeah, we were there. We were the first in Sandala, amongst a couple others in this room.
And our mayor right there,
Yep.
Mayor Francis right there.
Suarez,
You missed it earlier.
Hello,
Michelle,
Mayor
how much of a
Suarez.
pleasure it is.
Hello, Mr. Mayor.
We only have 200 days left, by the way. We need you for 200 more days. 250. Okay.
How are
we
you?
got to cut. Welcome, Mr. Mayor.
No, but the first question she started is why Miami has
Why
exploded.
now?
And we
And
gave
the leadership.
you, not Jeff, me.
How-
I gave you all the credit in the world. Jeff was like, I don't know.
No,
I said
the
the
first thing I
mayor
said
was the best guy ever.
Government, and
It
to
does
be honest
take
with you, and to
leadership.
be honest with you, his line, "How can I help?" sums up.
But did you put something about reservations at Carbone?
Yeah,
You shoulda- yeah.
Yes,
He added in Carbone
No,
in
he
there.
did. He did. We have the headline. But the truth is that, but listen, no, the mayor said, "How can I help?" And the entire thing that I described at the beginning, that became or was already the sentiment of the people and the government that allowed all of us to build our businesses here and attract more talent here, and he deserves a lot of credit for that. So,
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Dave.
Oh, now you're leaving?
that was
We're
it.
done.
That was it?
We thought
You
you'd
just
stay.
came in
We told
He
you
just
to come
came
at
to
the
see you
end.
guys. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Stop bothering
Thank
us.
you, Dave. Thank you, Jeff. We're looking forward to seeing what you guys are going to be doing next in Miami and beyond. Appreciate you today.
Thank you so much.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great to see you.